It's the film series that rebooted found footage into our nightmares, and love it or hate it, the Paranormal Activity franchise captured the general public. So which film is better? I'm Justin, and today I'm ranking all of the Paranormal Activity movies. This is just my personal opinion, but I encourage you to let me know your ranking in the comments below. Let's get started.
Get over it!
Number 7. Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. I severely hate this movie, in particular the marketing. The film is just so devoid of any entertainment that even all the trailers and posters were just garbage. The Ghost Dimension marks the end of the canon franchise that followed Katie, Christy and their family being haunted by Toby. The film follows a new family, and while there are some cool gimmicks such as the supernatural parts of the old film camera and this film remaining in canon with the mythology, I just find this movie really boring and a huge letdown. The reveal of the human Toby came too late, and it's such a shame to see this film still follow boring cliches from the first 4 movies and spin-offs. It's average at best, so if you haven't seen this movie, you haven't really missed out at all. By the way, the alternative ending was much better.
No more tapes.
Number 6. Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin. First of all, how the fuck is this a Paranormal Activity movie? This could be any movie with the Paranormal Activity tag slapped onto it. Like, I know, The Emperor's New Groove, Paranormal Activity, or You've Got Mail, Paranormal Activity, or Quarantine 2 Terminal, Paranormal Activity. The film itself, however, is a slight improvement above the Ghost Dimension. I like that it takes on a new story and has its own mythology separate to Toby and the other films, but simultaneously, this is also just a bit of a disappointment. I was hoping for at least some kind of connection to Katie Christie, but hey, maybe a future sequel reboot will rectify this? Who knows? There are some average scares to be found here, but it's essentially a repackaged version of the most lukewarm parts of all the other Paranormal Activity movies. There's just nothing thrilling about the so-called scary scenes. I mean, how many times are we going to see the same footage of some blonde girl looking to the camera before being hoisted off into the ceiling? It's boring, come on. The ending sequence ratchets up the tension though, and I appreciate that we did get another entry overall. Let's just hope there's more ideas in the world for a proper, solid sequel.
What did you say?
Number 5. Paranormal Activity 2. How do you pull off a sequel to the most profitable movie of all time? Filmmakers no doubt had a huge challenge in creating Paranormal Activity 2, which expands the mythology in very smart and clever ways to set up the franchise. I appreciate that this acts as both a prequel and a sequel, and I will hands down defend the kitchen cupboards jump scare as one of the best jump scare sequences of all time. The problem? Paranormal Activity just isn't as memorable or as exciting as the other sequels. There are some funny parts like the pool vacuum becoming possessed, and I do appreciate the overall story, but I just wanted more from this. I can't actually think of any other proper scary scene or anything, it's just, Still, the filmmakers have done a great job though, and I do remember this being so popular back in 2010.
I think it's awesome.
Number 4. Paranormal Activity 3. See how the activity began. Paranormal Activity 3 is often regarded as the best installment, and there is such a huge burst of creativity in this threequel to really give the illusion that this is found footage from the 80s. I'm talking about everything from the rotating camera, the hairstyles, the costumes, the creative jump scares. I really enjoyed this movie. However, what I didn't enjoy was the misleading marketing. In particular, the trailer showing scenes that were cut out like these.
Do the knocking game you showed me, remember? How do you do it?
I don't know, ask her.
I really like that trick.
It's not a trick. He's been doing it all day.
I don't see him.
Standing right next to you.
Honey, he's not there.
This is not simply about Kristen. This is connected to your side of the family.
He definitely knows about her.
We're getting out of here. Just get in the car and drive.
But anyway, getting back. The story itself is fantastic, and I enjoyed the approach taken. The scares are good, and the ending was nerve-wracking. I just wish as well that the first half hour was as thrilling as the rest. It's just so boring to get into, and it lets down the rest of the movie.
Hi, Dennis.
Number 3. Paranormal Activity. The original is usually the best, emphasis on usually. The original found footage phenomenon was a huge hit in theatres and may very well be the only entry in the franchise that's familiar with the general public. It's simple and effective, showcasing how a couple, who can somehow afford this huge amazing house, try and capture proof that they are being haunted by an entity. Paranormal Activity was the It horror movie of 2009, but in recent years I do find it a little boring. If you want to explore a deep dive into this film, check out our podcast episode. Huge props must be given to Katie Featherston and Mika Sloat for the tremendous ad-libbing and impromptu dialogue, and a huge shout out to Aaron Pelly for crafting such an iconic horror movie.
I don't give a fuck what that thing says on the Ouija board.
Number 2. Paranormal Activity 4. I could hear the pitchforks and broken bottles heading my way and all the nasty comments, but allow me to explain. This is the 4th Paranormal Activity movie within a 3-year span, so this should be awful, right? Wrong. This is a direct sequel to Paranormal Activity 2 and continues the ever-growing mythology of the demonic entity named Toby. And better yet, we finally get the return of adult Katie. There are so many great little scares that keep this movie from feeling too dull, and with some great twists thrown in too. I love this movie. My only criticism? Please stop with the dragging of people around the house. It was only ever scary in the first one. And even then, it's not really that scary. And plus, we already saw it in the second installment on like a weird extended version. No more. I'm a huge fan of this installment, and I was pleasantly surprised by the story, the twist on who Hunter is, and yes, even the weird use of the Microsoft Kinect technology, which, you know, does feel a bit dated today. I just wish more attention to detail was given for some of the other characters, like the parents. Who even are they? They get reduced to basically nothing. But overall, really like this movie.
He does not like you.
What? Who doesn't like me?
You'll find out.
Number 1. Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. I fucking love this movie. It's a fresh take on the source material and one that cleverly keeps in line with the mythology while also establishing its own story. This has the best final act of any Paranormal Activity movie, and the mix of comedy works so well. Setting this in a Latin location with Latino characters and exploring the effects of the curse on an innocent family does wonders for the storytelling aspect. And yet we also still get connections to the first Paranormal Activity movie. There's that scene in the basement, or whatever that weird underground area is, where we see young Katie and Christy. The scares are great too, but what sets this apart is a shock surprise ending where we finally see what happened at the end of the first Paranormal Activity. It's a very clever tie into the original, and one that shows a strong reverence and admiration for the found footage genre. Plus, a huge shout out to all the characters. I found that I was rooting for these characters the entire time, whereas all the other Paranormal Activity movies, I don't really care. Unless there's the children involved, like young Katie and Chrissy, I don't give a shit about any of the other adult characters, but these ones in the marked ones were so funny. They're like your typical friends that you would have in high school, so I was rooting for them the whole time. And just really enjoyed this installment. This is the one Paranormal Activity movie I would go back to and re-watch. So that's why it's number 1. Anyway, that's our list. Thank you for watching. Check out our podcast if you'd like more deep dives into your favorite horror movies. And check out our top 10 and ranked lists for more content. Argue in the comments and let me know your ranking. What is your favorite Paranormal Activity movie and what is your least favorite? Take care.